Hello, I'm Becky Cooper. I'm the leader of Worthing Borough Council. I'd just like to take a couple of minutes of your time just to discuss council finances. Myself and my other councillor colleagues have had lots of questions recently because there's been issues in the press about how Worthing Borough Council finances are faring. So I'd like to talk to you about three different areas just to clear up how we're doing and how well we're managing your public money. First of all, I'm going to talk about revenue or essential daily spend, and then I'm going to talk about external funding, and then finally I'm going to talk about borrowing. So the first area we're going to discuss is revenue or daily spend. And this is where the council is feeling pressure, and that's the same for councils up and down the country. And the reason we're feeling it as a borough council is because of the housing pressures here. So because of the cost of living, increasing number of our local residents are really struggling to pay the rent and pay their mortgage through no fault of their own. Pressures have meant that they found themselves homeless. And as a council, it is our statutory duty to house our local residents if they don't have homes. And in terms of housing, we are really struggling because we are 95% developed here in Worthing and we don't have our own council housing stock. So when people come to us, we are actually sending them out quite a lot of the time to bed and breakfast outside of the area. Now that's no good for families. If you imagine if it's your family, you don't want to be out of the area. It's not good for your children, it's not good for your work. It's also very expensive for us as a council to do that. So that pressure has really caused problems with our finances, as well as being no good for our residents. We're also having our own cost of living issues in terms of energy prices for the council and also inflation. So that the issues around what we need to buy every day in terms of maintaining the park areas, etc., all those costs have basically meant that our revenue, our daily spend, is put under increasing pressure. And that income, just to clarify where we get our money from, that income for our daily spend comes from our council tax rates, it comes from business rates, and it comes from our commercial income and places such as our car park income. And just as a final thought around our everyday spend, the council tax rates, I do get questions about council tax being put up, and I absolutely understand as a local resident myself. The borough council empties the bins, houses people, sorts out revenues and benefits, and we only take 12% of your council tax. Now I appreciate as somebody who pays council tax, seeing it go up every year is tricky, but I hope you agree that for 12% of your council tax bill, we do a pretty good job with the money that we have. So the second pot of funding that I want to talk about is external funding. And a particular pot of funding here is a community infrastructure levy. And that's a technical term basically for money that developers give to the council when they come in and they build houses here or other buildings. And that money is earmarked specifically for public infrastructure development. So if there are areas nearby, near the development that need to be improved for the whole community well-being, then that's what we can use the money for. So for example, of late I've been getting questions about Montague Gardens, saying council finances are under extreme pressure. How on earth can it be that we're spending £2.9 million on Montague Gardens? And that's because that money is money from the developers, community infrastructure levy money, and it's earmarked for that. I can't use it on everyday spend where the pressures are. I can't use it to house people, and I can't use it to empty the bins. But we absolutely can use it to make Worthing a beautiful, green, clean, safe place. And the third and final pot of money that I want to talk about is the capital programme. And that's the money that we use for big builds and one-off projects. And we fund our capital programme through borrowing. Now the key to the capital programme is that we get a return on investment. So when we're building things or when we're investing, we make sure that we get a good financial return or social return or community return. That's really important and we analyse that very, very closely. I should also say that there have been reports recently that we might be over-borrowed, but actually those numbers were misleading and those calculations weren't correct. When we look at the actual income that we have and the amount of borrowing, it actually turns out that Worthing Borough Council is under-borrowed. If you want to know any more about that, please let me know. There are lots of reports that you can read. Just a final thought before I sign off. I did mention at the beginning that this isn't just our council, it's councils across the country. Over the past 13 years, funding has been cut on average by about 40 to 50% by the National Conservative government for all councils, regardless of whether they're Labour, Conservative, Green, Lib Dem. All councils are struggling. So I would say that Worthing Borough Council is doing the absolute best job with the money that it can, and your Labour Council will continue to be responsible and to do the very best with your public money.